In a small town ringed by forest, there was a bakery famous for its honeyed bread, soft and golden, sweetened with local honey and dusted with powdered sugar. Its windows were almost always fogged over from the oven, and its doors were always open to the aroma of yeast and spice. It had been run by the Mirren family for 3 generations, weathering floods, blizzards, even war. But through it all, the bakery had endured, its ovens stoked and its bread sold. What customers never saw, however, was the second floor. A single narrow staircase led up to it, but the door at the top was locked, bolted, and sealed shut with wax. Never was it opened, not while customers were present or when the lights were turned low for the night. Only dust gathered on the steps, no light ever coming from under the door. And yet, every morning, it sounded like someone walked across the floorboards above. Old Mrs. Mirren, the matriarch of the family and most beloved for her sour expression and sourer tongue, claimed it was storage. Deliveries never went up there, though, nor did anyone go up to retrieve anything from it. When asked about it, old Mrs. Mirren would smile and say, "We don't open that door, not anymore." The locks were changed often, and the key was kept in a jar of flour behind the counter. None of the Mirrens touched it. Still, sometimes the flour had footprints. Emil, a young apprentice, began helping at the bakery one chilly autumn evening. Curious by nature, he asked a lot of questions, all of which were met with sharp replies and sharper looks. That evening, after closing, he stayed behind to count the day's receipts. When the old woman finally unlocked the door to leave, he climbed the staircase and stood beneath the locked door. He reached for the key, but it wasn't there. He looked around for another way in, but there was none. The window was nailed shut from the inside. There was no other way in. He decided then and there that he would find another way in or pry the door open. So he waited until the next evening when the shop was closed and the townspeople tucked in their beds. He crept back to the bakery, slipped inside, and hid among the sacks of flour until the old woman returned. She let out a yelp when she found him, but he apologized profusely, promising never to do it again. She sighed and told him to go home, but he insisted on staying. She huffed, threw the key on the counter, and stormed out. He grabbed it and ran up the stairs. The door was cold to the touch, and the metal knob, stiff with age, felt like ice. The key, however, was warm, almost hot, and it slid in too easily. He pushed, but the door didn't budge. So he tried the knob. It turned. He opened the door slowly and stepped inside. No one knows what he saw. He left town the next morning without saying goodbye. The Mirrens never mentioned him again. His room at the inn was paid in full, and the owner said he hadn't slept there since. On the counter where he had kneaded dough the day before sat a single honey roll with a bite taken out of it. Next to it, a hand-drawn map showing a room above the bakery. The room was exactly the size of the room above the bakery, except it didn't quite match the building's size. The lines were blurred and crossed, and it smelled faintly of wood smoke and old honey. Emil took the map with him. He never forgot it. Years later, long after he'd left the town and its strange bakeries behind, he could still smell that faint scent of wood smoke and honey. He could still see the way the light filtered through the window, dust motes dancing in the air. He could still hear the murmur of voices, laughter, and conversation. And every night before bed, he would take out the map, smooth out the wrinkles, and trace the lines with his finger, whispering apologies into the darkness. One evening, after closing, as the last rays of sun bled from the sky, a knock sounded from the room above the bakery. 3 taps, then silence. Another evening, the same thing happened. 3 knocks, then silence. And then every evening after that, 3 taps. Always 3. As though someone is still up there, waiting to be let out. Let the knock fade now. Let it become a sound from someone else's memory. Your hands are warm. Your breathing is steady. You're safe here. I hope you enjoyed it, and thank you all for listening. I'll see you next time.